Guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to a new video. It is Friday, last working day of the week. Haven't uploaded in the last few days. There's one reason, because there was just not so much going on for Bitcoin. We are in a sideways consolidation after the big dump to 15,500. But now, a few days later, we are seeing a little bit of movement within the indicators that might give an indication, quote-unquote prediction of what we can expect for today and next week. I am going to dive into the charts, but not before I've asked you to like, subscribe, click on the bell, click on all so you don't miss anything. Leave me a comment, share this video with your friends if you think that's useful. And without further ado, let's start diving into the charts. And we're starting off with BTC USD on the 1 hour. This is the chart where we left off. Let's extend here the volume node. There we see that we're trading just underneath the point of control. We have been trying now already for a couple of days to trade above that point of control, but every time we get there we kind of just get smack bang down again. Once we are able to reclaim that point of control, have a successful breakout, preferably retest, then I think we can try to visit the value area high of this range, 17,500. Now, maybe as you remember, we also have pulled a fib retracement a couple of times. I still have it on my screen. That said, well, where can we expect maybe if we are going higher a possible target slash bounce? Well, therefore we drew it once here from this ultimate top to this bottom right here. You can also take this bottom, doesn't matter that much, they're very close to each other. Then we're having a golden pocket here at 19,500, which also coincides with a very macro value area low of the very big trading range where we have been in for a very long time. You can also put it here, then we have it on 19,000 for a golden pocket, or the one here. And if I zoom in a little bit, I actually really like this one because this has been the first kind of, shall we say, high after that big drop down, and a lot of traders use this. And to be honest, I have experienced that this is a very nice spot to put it, because we usually then go to a fib level, the 0.5 or the golden pocket. The value area high from this range has been moved just a little bit, but we're still kind of we can make a box that we say, you know what, this is kind of the area that we're looking at if we're going higher for a possible reversal, starting off from, shall we say, 17,500 ish to 17,700. That would be a very nice area if we have a confirmation, let's say a bear div on the 1 hour, to put in a short trade. Matter of fact, we could even already have it from the current price level. Let's say we pull this out here a little bit, but then the price needs to move quite fast. Is that, let's say we're going higher here, then we have a very big div, but this is quite a high momentum wave here on the hourly. That would be nice. To be honest, it is quite the move to the upside, 5%. Never say never, but since we had so much sideways action, yeah, I don't know. There is one pattern that everyone is looking at, and we kind of already broke out, but it's not really playing out, and that is that we are in a bit of a triangle right here. Then we had a fake out here on the hourly. This is your touch, and then you have a couple of touch here, and then we just kind of walked out. Yes, you could say if this was a breakout, then it was a legit retest. Here the hourly, that's the nice red candle that you see, and then higher, but we are missing the absolute volume here at the bottom. So if this is a breakout, it's very weak. I am not really actively trading this. Matter of fact, I barely made any trades in the last couple of days, just because there was almost no volatility, almost no clear movement. We're talking here about shy of a bit more than 2%. Excuse me, a bit more of 2%, and not a really nice trading setup, as in a clear high or clear low in the last few days, or you can say, okay, that's where I'm going to long or short support or resistance. We're kind of waiting just this to go higher to see if we can short it from a nice level, or this to go lower to maybe place a long. That is of course where most people are looking at. So the volume is absolutely super low. It kind of also makes sense a little bit after such a major drop to the downside where we had that crash. that the price goes into kind of consolidation mode for a couple of days, maybe a week or 2 weeks, and then is deciding on a direction again. Excuse me. If we're looking at the traders reality indicator, then we're seeing also some interesting stuff which coincides with the idea of consolidation, and that is, if we're especially looking here on the 4-hourly or on the daily, is that the price moves a lot around this purple ribbon, which is also the 50 EMA, and that you see that once we are going off that ribbon, we gotta go back, kind of retesting it, and we're constantly bringing price back in or to that purple ribbon that you see. And with this major dump down here, there we kind of went off very far from that ribbon, as you can see. So then we need some consolidation for this ribbon to come down, to kind of retesting it, and now we're almost in line again with the 4-hour. That being said, on the daily, yes, we can overshoot it quite a lot, but there you see that there is still a big difference, a big gap between the current price and where that pink ribbon is. Also, of course, we have seen it here with this big dump from approximately 30k to 18 or 17k. There was also a big gap between this price and the actual ribbon, and that also took time, and eventually you can see we traded within the ribbon and then went lower again, a little bit lower, back into the ribbon, lower again, etc, etc. So from a daily candle perspective, we still have some consolidation to go to make sure that this ribbon goes down and that the price maybe goes up a little bit, that we can test it, retest it, and then of course it's decision time. Are we going to break and are we going higher, or are we going to get another move lower? From a cycle perspective, and then I mean then the 4-year cycles, it is interesting and crazy. The absolute top for BTC was, if I'm not mistaken, 10th of November 2021, and here we made the current bottom at 9 of November 2022, so almost exactly a year. Matter of fact, I even put here the line in. Is this correct what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's 10th of November 2021. That was the absolute peak for the last bull market. And then you could say, well, if we are just following the cycles, then we could maybe conclude that maybe the bottom is in. Would be crazy if it's just one day off. But we all know that markets are just, or price is just a matter of supply and demand. And once people start selling off their BTC, then the price goes down, and the other way around. Once people start crazily buying, then the price will move higher. With that being said, if we have another event, let's say BlockFi goes bankrupt, or maybe another company that was had some debt at FTX, then that could spark another fire and for us to dump even lower again. So the cycles give an indication. It's interesting to look at, but of course a price doesn't move based on the factor of time. It moves based on supply and demand of traders. So with that being said, maybe we can get another move down. Something that is in the favor of the bulls is that I see a lot of people waiting, saying, hey, we need to go to 10, 11, 12k. Also big banks are coming out and now saying, well, we could see another drop of another 20-30%. All the numbers that are being mentioned are a little bit different, but the fact that people on the bottom, quote unquote bottom, after a drop of 75% ish or 80% ish, all the way from the top, are saying we're probably going to go lower, that could signal a certain bottom. If I just look at the price action right here, I was actually still hoping for lower, and of course we can still reach it, but so far it is playing out what I've kind of been saying, is that we see a drop to a certain level and then some sideways action, some consolidation, which can take weeks, maybe months, not really going higher, not really going lower, not really creating real lower prices. I mean, yes, we could go a little bit lower than let's say 15,600 to 15,200 or 15,000 or 14,800, whatever, kind of in this range, and then after weeks and months we're looking back and say, well, actually just a very long sideways consolidation. That is then your accumulation phase in the cycle, and from there on you slowly move higher. Again, still, if something happens in the news or there will be a nuclear bomb in Ukraine, let's please hope that never happens, but there could be stuff, of course, triggering another sell-off, so always keep that in mind. Where the exact bottom is, I have no idea. To be honest, I'm also not so super interested in that. As a trader, you just want to have volatility, higher, lower, it doesn't matter. You want to have volatility so you can place your trades and you can make money off the market. That's pretty much the name of the game. And when you have no volatility or barely any volatility like the last couple of days, that's a bit of a bummer, of course. So then it's a little bit harder to make those trades. They give you a very clear risk to reward and a very clean trading strategy. So with that being said, let's just take it day by day, trade by trade. Like, the levels are still kind of the same as a couple of days ago. The only thing that I am looking at right now, when it comes down to the indicators, it looks like that maybe the 4-hour money flow wants to curve up just a little bit. We could, on the bear side, let's say we quickly make a higher high here, have a bearish divergence on the 4-hourly, but to be honest, these momentum waves are now so close to each other, it's probably not going to happen. And let me see what I have on the hourly. Well, we could also have a bearish divergence on this one. Let's say we are not going to the golden pocket, but the price is just making a slight higher high than this, and then a lower high on a momentum wave. I will play it as a short and then get in. On the daily, let's see how it looks right there. We had the green dot that we talked about a few days ago. We have a little bit of follow through, shall we say. We're really not dumping down, but to say that the money flow is coming up with a momentum wave, not really. So there's just not so much interest in the market. We also see here on the daily that the volume is dying out a little bit. Yeah, really a little bit undecisive, shall we say. I also tweeted a couple of days ago that the funding rate was extremely negative. That could signal a short squeeze, but of course every second of the day thousands of orders are being put into the exchanges and also taken out, so that funding rate is constantly changing. But you could say over a bigger time frame, hey, now we're seeing for the last 4 hours or 8 hours or a day or 2 days a very high or a very low funding rate. That could signal a short squeeze, or maybe even long squeeze if that is if everyone is jumping into a long, and that could trigger then a suddenly a spike in price. That extreme negative funding rate is now out. It's kind of neutral, so you could not say, oh, we have now a very extreme bias towards a lot of longs in the market or in the books, or a lot of shorts. So that's not the case. Just to make that clear, that really everything is a little bit neutral now. For the indicators, for the price action, and everyone is kind of just waiting until something happens. Then I quickly want to move to the dollar index, because if we're talking about something could happen, well, maybe it is then the dollar index that is giving the push for BTC. We have seen during the dump and during FTX quite a decoupling of Bitcoin to the dollar index and to the S&P 500, but for the dollar index and the S&P 500, we're seeing some interesting moves. We know by default that BTC is usually following the other assets, meaning if the dollar index pumps, usually we see stocks selling off, and just after that BTC is following. It's almost never leading the dance. That could be 10 minutes after, could be half an hour, could sometimes be even a day later, but is almost never leading. It's always following the dollar index and the S&P. With that being said, remember last week when I said, well, this was a big drop. If we're not holding that 108.08, then we are going lower. The next support is 105, and look exactly where we had this candle. Not a very nice low around the support. On the other hand, you could say, well, there was a lot of buying right there, and therefore the candle also closed green. On the other hand, if you just would take the support out, they could also say, well, this looks a bit like a nice rounding bottom, and we're also seeing here on the indicator that the momentum wave is already coming up, the money flow is already coming up, and as I told you also last week, I do not believe that this was maybe the top for the dollar index. The last top also took months and years to play out. So I do expect us to go higher again for whatever story or narrative is then in the news. Inflation comes back up, something with the war, something with stocks, central banks, yada yada yada. This is not going to be a walk in the park. So I do expect this to go back up again. Quickly on the daily then, money flow is at the 0 line. Question is, after so many days, what is this? 30th of June 2021. That is on the daily when the money flow went into the green, and we have never seen it in the red anymore. Question is, are we going to bounce off the 0 line, or are we now for the first time going to go into the red for the money flow? This is a green dot, of course. This is the momentum wave turning, so who knows, it goes back up on the daily, the money flow stays in the green, and we are going to visit higher levels again. Very interesting to see. I am keeping a close eye on this for the next couple of days. If this goes higher, of course, that will be the trigger for BTC, that the bottom will most likely not be in and we're going lower. So keep an eye on the dollar index for the next week or 2 weeks. S&P 500 then, we have also talked about this already multiple times. The high, the low, all the way up, golden pocket, and I told you earlier this week, or was it last week, I said if you want the S&P to go lower and to fill up this gap right here and the gap right here, then this is the point to do so. You want to see a turn at the golden pocket. This is a textbook return, and look at what we are getting exactly at that golden pocket, approximately 4,000 points. We are turning again. This also coincides with a beautiful big bearish divergence, meaning that the price goes higher and the momentum wave goes lower. Also, the money flow is turning down south again, so if we do not quickly turn higher, which actually I don't hope, I hope us to go lower to fill the gaps to retest these lows, then I think it's just a green light. So far on the bearish side, this looks good, and this gap right here was also on the inflation data way too big to not fill or touch this. So that is something I'm definitely keeping an eye on. On the daily then, also here it looks good on the bearish side. Have a red dot. We have our momentum wave trying to roll over. Not really a bearish divergence here on the momentum waves. But so far it actually also looks good, and we went up here. This is actually interesting to see with the RSIs split to the top, which means that the move is lagging strength, and if we're now going down and these RSIs come together, then the move is gaining strength, and that will be on a move to the downside, and then fasten your seatbelts, and then we're going lower for the next couple of weeks. Interesting to see. Let's say I am wrong, we are going higher. Then I'm looking out for this top to be taken out, approximately 4,100-ish. That is a nice one. I think we also have a bit of a gap still here that's not filled. So that will be then the next one to keep an eye out for. So far, markets a little bit sideways. Levels have not really been changed. If it suddenly happens or I see a nice trading opportunity, I will try to get in. Maybe on this final move we are now going higher than the point of control. That will be nice. We are now creating a green dot. Let's see if it will be confirmed on this hourly candle. Money flow is coming up a little bit. RSI is coming up a little bit. This maybe has a little bit of juice to the upside. If I see a good trading setup, I will take it. If you guys like the content, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, click on the bell, click on all so you don't miss anything. Leave me a comment or share this video with your friends if you think that's useful. Without further ado, thank you so much. And also, of course, follow me on Twitter, by the way. I totally forgot about that. Those links are also in the descriptions, and my link to my Instagram. So feel free to check that out. Thank you guys so much. See you in the next one. Bye bye.